Thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, come on, man. You know how much I love you.
What is it about starting in the church that gives people a great preparation and platform to be big singers worldwide? What is it?
I think you said the perfect word, preparation. And church didn't just give it to those of us who sing. It gave it to the orators. It gave it to, speech writers. Tyler Perry says it all the time. He got his greatest lessons in directing from what he saw in church.
Those were conversations had on Conversations with Dr. Ian Smith, his special guest, Yolanda Adams, who we rock with all the time, every week. Mm-hmm. That's from Dr. Ian Smith's podcast. And, hey, man, the man said, Sway, just call on me. I'll be there. I said, man, let's do it once a month. He said, okay, and we've been doing it once a month. Welcome back to one and only Dr. Ian Smith.
Dr. Ian.
Hey, fams, good checking in.
Absolutely,
yes.
man. How you been?
Yes.
I'm good. First of all, let me say a couple things real fast. I want to say you guys are completely right. I just heard the last caller from the business situation. Mm-hmm. People have to have shortened tags and shortened locations. People just can't remember that. I mean, it's too difficult. Even with me, my Instagram is at Dr. Ian Smith, but I got to tell people to spell the doctor out because I don't own Dr. Ian Smith. But you don't want to go much longer or more complicated than that. So you guys were correct about that. And the other thing is, I've never said this on the show before. I'm glad you played my clip from Yolanda. People should definitely come over to my podcast. You can hear it wherever you listen to podcasts. I have great guests. It's called Conversations with Dr. Ian Smith. And Sway, I just realized you got to come on the podcast.
Oh, shit. I was like, hey, this is That's right, man.
I can't believe I haven't asked you yet. What's wrong with me?
Well, let's talk about it, man. I haven't done a whole lot. I just love hearing what folks are doing in that space now. So it's been giving me a chance to be a spectator. Like your podcast, you're excellent at it. You come with a wealth of information, and you're very personable with it, and I just enjoy your conversation. So people definitely check out this podcast. But let's talk about it, Dr. Ian. Let's talk about it. All right.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. I wanted you to come on today. Because we lost an icon. Who was battling with diabetes. Tracy, can you give a little context to Biz Markie?
Yes, of course. With the direction that Sway is going in, Dr. Ian is, Biz's cause of death officially has not been revealed. However, just reflecting on his life, especially in recent years, he struggled with health issues related to type 2 diabetes, which had been a decade-long battle for him. And then in 2020, he was hospitalized due to complications related to type 2 diabetes, and later that year suffered a stroke. And so I know that you're able to share with us what causes type 2 diabetes, how we can prevent it, and if we have any citizens who currently are, dealing with the challenges of type 2 diabetes, what are some best practices?
First of all, let me say condolences to Biz's family. Biz was a friend of mine. I met Biz. He did the first season of Celebrity Fit Club. I came on in season 2 and did the rest of the show, but we met through Celebrity Fit Club, and I loved him so much, not just from what he was trying to do from Fit Club, but I loved him as an artist, obviously. And so I invited him to be one of our musical coordinators when I did the 50 Million Pound Challenge. So we spent a year traveling around the city trying to galvanize people at our stops with the 50 Million Pound Challenge to get them dancing and talking and getting tested and stuff like that. So I have a real personal connection. Just saw Biz about a year and a half ago. He was in Chicago. He was here for Pastor Charles Jenkins' birthday celebration, and he looked great. He had lost weight. We had a great conversation. He was optimistic. He was talking about how he changed his life, how he's eating better. So he had made all these changes, and then to hear a few days ago that he was this sick. Listen, type 2 diabetes, there's type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is what most people have, and that is diabetes related typically to external conditions like obesity. And what happens is in diabetes, very simply, the body is not able to process sugar properly. So you eat food, the body breaks it down into the simple components, and sugar is one of the basic building blocks of most foods. And then the body uses that sugar for energy, or the the body stores that extra sugar as fat. But the body needs to be able to process sugar. You just can't have sugar floating around in your bloodstream, because then it can cause all kinds of problems to your blood vessels, to your eyes, to your kidneys, different organs. Well, it's a slowly progressing disease, meaning that if you're diagnosed with diabetes, you may not suffer or realize any symptoms right away or any complications, but when it's years and years of having diabetes, then people start seeing issues. Now, Biz suffered from a stroke, which is very common from people suffering from type 2 diabetes. And unfortunately, it was a long road for him. And the message I want to get out to people is, don't dismiss diabetes and look at it as something that is nothing to worry about, that you just have to watch your sugar and watch what you eat. It's more than that. You have to exercise. You have to make sure you're getting your hemoglobin A1C, which is a blood test, on a regular basis. You got to make sure you're doing your daily blood sticks for most people to make sure your sugar's in the right range. And I just, I have family members who are type 2 diabetics. It's a tough disease, but it's a manageable disease, and it's a disease that you don't have to die from if you manage it correctly.
Can you eradicate it? I mean, can you reverse it with proper
yes,
diet?
So yes. Not everyone, but a lot of people, when they lose weight, when they regularly exercise, and when they monitor what they eat, they're able actually to get out of the diabetic range and get back into the normal range. That doesn't happen for everyone, but it happens for a lot of people. I actually wrote a book. It's called Blast the Sugar Out, and that book is all about trying to lower your blood sugar levels. There are tens of millions of people, by the way, who are pre-diabetic. That means that they're on the fence of having full-blown diabetes. They haven't gotten it yet. They haven't developed it yet, but they're on the fence. And most of them don't realize they are, because people don't typically get their blood sugar levels checked. And so this is really important, and I want people who are out there listening to pay attention. Get your blood sugars checked a year, and if you have family members who are diabetic, say to them, how's your hemoglobin A1C? Ask them that question, hemoglobin A1C, and make sure they're getting their blood levels checked all the time.
It's one of those things that, like diabetes, people have gotten so used to it, they walk around and they don't share it, like family members, so on and so forth. It's something that people don't talk about. At least in my at least in my circles, folks, you don't know who has diabetes. You know what I mean? And is it something that it's not purely hereditary, but can it be? Whenever you go to the doctor, they always ask, hey, do you got anybody in your family with diabetes?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's hereditary, but then it's also something that you could bring upon you could create on your own self, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's both. There's a hereditary component, which means if you have a family member who has diabetes, you have a higher risk of developing diabetes, depending on how close the family member is to you as far as genealogy. But also, you can have a family history of no diabetes, and based on your body habitus, based on your food intake, your lack of exercise, your rate of obesity, those things can cause you to have diabetes. I mean, 1 in 10 Americans have diabetes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
34 million Americans have diabetes. You look at people who have pre-diabetes. Now listen to this number. 88 million American adults, which is about 1 in 3 people, are pre-diabetic. They are on the verge of full-blown diabetes, and many of them don't know they have it. If you are pre-diabetic, the good news of that is that you can do something about it right away that will prevent you from converting into full-blown diabetes.
Okay, so if you're drinking a bunch of soda and eating candy and cakes and pastries and bread and all of those things, what foods contribute to diabetes, and what food help you if you have diabetes?
That's a great question. So it's not necessarily, people used to think, if I eat too much sugar, I'm going to develop type 2 diabetes. It doesn't work that way, actually.
Okay.
In some very small cases, it is believed your pancreas is the organ that actually produces the hormone called insulin. And insulin is what your body needs to be able to properly process sugar. So think about it. Your pancreas secretes this hormone called insulin. Insulin goes into your blood and it eats up the sugar, and it allows your body to be able to process the sugar. If you don't have enough insulin, or if the insulin your body makes is defective, then think about it. You're not able to gobble up the sugar, and so the sugar remains in your blood, and that becomes a problem for your organs, okay? And so what people have to understand is that obesity causes your insulin hormone not to work properly. When you have a lot of fat, that fat affects the functionality of the insulin. People who are kind of like on the border of diabetes, and if they eat too much sugar, then their body becomes exhausted. They can't produce enough insulin to process the amount of sugar that they have in order to keep their blood sugar levels down, and they start having what's called frank diabetes. So I don't want people to think that it's about I'm eating too much sugar and that sugar is causing diabetes. Instead, I want people to think, what are my lifestyle behaviors? Am I too sedentary? Am I overweight? And am I eating foods too high in sugars? It's that combination that tends to lead to type 2 diabetes.
Dr. Ian Smith. Dr. Ian is here. We got a lot of people on the lines. Speed in Baltimore, Grand Risings. How are you, Speed?
What up, Speed?
Hey, Speed.
Oh, man, I woke up this morning, Grand Risings to you all. Dr. Ian, just to give you a brief history of my family, I used to give my grandmother insulin. I'm 51, at the age of 5, and then in 2000, when I came home, my mother passed from diabetes and a diabetic coma, and my son, who's now 33, he has it, and he has it also. That being said, I was just diagnosed with it by my doctor a month ago, and I am in that sedentary position. I'm a truck driver, and so right now I'm in denial because I can't believe this. Can't believe this shit hit me. Yeah, I just put my own tractor trailer, my own authority, everything. So right now, I got to try to beat it. I drink a lot of beer. I do drink beer. I eat well. At least I do. I haven't told my wife and my daughter yet. They're going to freak out. So right now, I guess for me, the question I'm asking, I got to get mentally. I have to get past the, I really got this thing. I really got this thing. And every time I think about it, I go back to me giving grandma an insulin back in 82. I mean, back in 75, and me grabbing her arm and putting that insulin in her. And so now, and then watching my mother die 7 days in a diabetic coma. So now, I was good. I was good, and I was go get my checkup. He said, you never had it. And so just recently, my A1C levels went up, and it's at like 6.7. He said it's out of control, and like today, I have neuropathy in my finger. I can feel my finger going numb. So I'm jive terrified. Now here it is. I'm going to my second phase of my life of trying to be an entrepreneur, of purchasing my first tractor trailer and try to start a company. So it's like, not right now. This can't be happening to me. Not right now. And so mentally.
Well, let me say that your story is extremely common. There are millions of people. So you're not alone in this. Let me say that first of all. Let me say secondly is that the good news is that you absolutely, with a hemoglobin of 6.7, which by the way is on the lower end and not far from normal, there are people who have hemoglobin A1Cs of 9s and 10s, which are extremely deadly. So you're at the low range. Let's look at the good news here. The other good news is you understand the course of what this disease is. And so therefore, it's all about you saying that your life and you being with your family is more important than some of the lifestyle behavioral choices that you'll have to give up, okay? And so eating better obviously is a big deal. Let me also tell you that intermittent fasting, which is actually good for truck drivers, because truck drivers can control the timing of their eating through intermittent fasting.
Right.
Try intermittent fasting. That will lower your blood sugar levels. You have to exercise. Do you have to exercise for an hour every day? Absolutely not. But 30 minutes of some type of physical exercise is a big deal. My book, Fast Burn, by the way, has intermittent fasting. It's easy to follow. It not only will help you lose weight, but I have people in my group on Facebook that you should join also. It's called Fast Burn Challenge. I have people who have come off their medications following Fast Burn, and people who are pre-diabetic whose numbers are completely normal. So all this to say to you, I understand that you're worried. You should be worried, by the way, and I'm happy that you have that level of concern. But now that you've acknowledged what the situation is, now it's time to fight. That's how I look at the situation.
Yes, sir.
And I have resources for you that you can fight. I have my Facebook group. My Instagram handle is at Dr. Ian Smith. Spell the doctor out, I-A-N Smith. And we can do this. I got resources and free and available to you, and you can make it happen.
There you go. You
Yes,
see that,
sir.
Speedo? You
Yes,
see
sir.
that? And that's
Wow,
a part
that's
of that part of. You see how you feel a lot better now that you had this conversation,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Right. That's a part of
Yes,
the
sir.
mental process that you'll be going through as well. You know, and making sure you find that alone time where you get. I don't know if you meditate. You know, but
Yes, I do. Yes, sir.
okay, great, man. If you're meditating, you silence out those outside distractions and focus your energy on being healthy and staying positive through it. You ain't gotta beat it. You going to beat it. It's done already. You already beat it because you confront it. You're no longer in denial. You just told the world.
Right.
Yeah. I appreciate. What's up, Speedo? It's Heather. What's up, Dr. Smith? It's Heather. How y'all doing? But it's I appreciate your honesty, like as a man, and I've said this a couple of times. Like I lost my dad to his complications with diabetes, and I don't think sometimes people think about the women that are in y'all lives who have to watch your husbands or your brothers or your fathers go through this. Like it's tough on us too, and you don't want to argue with your spouse or your father or your brother about what to eat, and you feel like you on top of them and you watching every single thing. So it helps us that when men are more open and honest and just admit it, like you said, like I got to get this off my chest first, and like Dr. Ian said, like focus on the positive, and then you will form that team, that support system around you. So brother, you brought tears to my eyes this morning. So I'm happy for you, and you could get through this like Dr. Ian Smith said, and stay with that group. I follow Dr. Ian Smith's book. It is powerful. It helps you with recipes. It does everything. So it's the real deal. And I'm funny about food. Y'all know that. But Dr. Ian Smith's book is the real deal. Like that book is the real deal.
Yeah, had a food elitist, Speedo. So
I'm not an elitist, but no, Dr. Ian Smith's book was I was like, let me see what he talk about with these recipes, and you don't miss some of the things that we used to. He has found great supplements with the smoothies, with the pancakes, with all the stuff. It's the real deal, bruh. It's the real deal.
And Speedo, you go ahead and share with the family. I know you're gonna have to do that at some point, and man, keep this energy on it, because that's gonna be a very key, essential part of it is your energy, man, your mentality. Yes. And you already got it, brother. You already called, man. So we here for you, man. You a citizen, man. Let's get it popping, Speedo.
I'm a citizen.
There you go. You a citizen, baby. Come on, let's go.
A healthy citizen.
There you go. All right, my man Speedo. Absolutely. Kevin in Charlotte, Joe in Colorado, Robert in Tennessee, Bobby in Atlanta, Tiffany in Atlanta, JS in Long Island, Nadar in Virginia, Dre in Atlanta. All of you, I'm going to take a few more calls, but everyone who's tuned in, even if you're not on these lines, you got to get into Dr. Ian Smith's Facebook group. Yep. You got to follow him on his Instagram. This man, listen, this man has never said no to us. Okay?
That's facts.
Ain't nobody on this line making money having these conversations. This is all information, valuable information that he paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to gather. Wherever he got his degrees from. Work, lifetime of experience, trial and error. He's one of the most honest voices we have on this show. That's why I always ask him to come back. And one of the most informative. And so these illnesses that we have don't define us. They do not. The diabetes won't define you. Like Heather, I have family members who've had diabetes. My Auntie Lucy, who I used to give insulin to, passed away because of those complications. People who have lost limbs in my family because of it. All these different things. And so now we have these resources. So make sure you lock in. Tiffany is in Atlanta. Grand Risings, Tiff.
What's up, Tiff?
Hello.
Tiff.
Good morning.
Hey.
Tiff.
Hey, so my battle with diabetes started with gestational diabetes at the age of 24 when I was pregnant with my son. And it just kind of tumbled down here from there for me. Like for me, 24, 26, formally diagnosed. Throughout my 30s, I battled it. I had a heart attack at 39 years old due to the damage from diabetes. Yeah, I had a heart attack. I lost weight. I actually got a gastric sleeve, and I did lose the weight, and I was controlled. But by then, the damage was done. So after I had my gastric sleeve, I had the heart attack literally 6 months after. So just think about that. While I was having surgery for a gastric sleeve, at any point I could have coded. That's the only thing I think about to this day. 6 months later, I had a heart attack, and it's been 5 years. Thank God I survived. I had 2 stents in my heart. But I just want to let the women know that diabetes is a silent killer. Throughout my 30s, I battled it really, really hard. I was up and down. I was on insulin. I was off insulin. My A1C was high. As Dr. Ian said, my A1C at one time was almost 10. So that's extremely high for somebody to be in their 30s. And when I decided to get the gastric sleeve, which was a choice for me, it was a good choice for me because I thought at the time that it would get rid of the diabetes, but the damage was already done. So to this day, yes, I am controlled. I am on medications to be controlled. I eat healthy. I have kept my weight off. I'm doing really good, but there's so much damage that was done before all this that it's hard for me. I have retinal damage. I also have damage in my hearing, with my hearing. I wear hearing aids on top of dealing with having a heart attack and having a stent. So it's going to continue throughout the rest of my life. You know, I'm 43 years old, and when I tell my story, people are always shocked to say, how do you have a heart attack? Well, you know, you have to look at your family history. I come from a family that had a history of diabetes, a history of heart disease, combined with people who didn't take care of themselves. And, of course, we ate good. We ate soul food. We ate those good things that we love. And you combine all that growing up in my community, and this is where I am today. So I like to tell my story, especially to women, because we will keep going and going and going. And that's how I was. I was one of those people who I would get in control, but then I would be like, I'm all right. Okay, so then I would go back to my old habits. Then I was raising a family, and I was neglecting myself, and I should have seen the signs, but I did not see the signs. So for all the women out there, I want to tell you to take care of yourself, take time for yourself. Look at those signs. Follow up with your doctor when you have those headaches. Follow up with your doctor when you're tired. Follow up with your doctor when you feel like your A1C is out of whack. Or follow up with your doctor when you just don't feel right. And that's mentally and physically. You know, that's my story.
Damn, thank you. Wow, Tiffany, thank you for sharing your story.
That honesty, yo.
That honesty.
Yeah, I just want to say, just so people understand who are listening, gestational diabetes is basically when you have not had diabetes in the past, but during your pregnancy, you actually develop, diabetes during pregnancy. Most people who have this type of diabetes, it typically goes away once you've delivered your child. However, for some people, once they've had gestational diabetes, that increases the risk in the future of them having full-blown diabetes, and their body is unable to handle blood sugars. Her story is very emblematic of the dangers of diabetes. It doesn't affect everyone the same way. Some people at a young age barely get affected, don't have many symptoms. Some people get symptoms as bad as heart attacks. So that's why I'm trying to say to people, it's not something to play with. There's no predicting of how bad of symptoms you're going to experience individually. Everyone needs to take it seriously. And, you have to make lifestyle changes. I say to people all the time, you as a human being have to decide what's most important. And I've always said this to people, there is nothing bigger than life itself. No car, job, relationship, money, nothing, no matter how big and important those things may be in your life, they are not bigger than your life. And I think people really need to have the mindset that they need to make changes to sacrifice for the bigger goal, which is to have the best quality and the longest possible life.
Absolutely. Thank you. Tiffany, thank you. Tiffany,
yes,
you're a citizen, Tiffany.
It's Sway in the morning. God bless you, Tiffany.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like if you got a few more minutes, Dr. Ian, that these lines are just like overflowing. I want to take a couple more. You got a couple minutes? You got a couple more minutes?
Yeah, let's take two more. No doubt.
Two more. Okay, great. Monique in Houston, Grand Risings. How you doing?
Hey, Mo.
Monique.
Grand Rising. I want to ask Dr. Ian, does intermittent fasting work as well for women as it does for men? I find men have a lot of success and women not so much. And I also want to know, does it mess up your metabolism?
Great questions. Okay, first question, very easy to answer, which is intermittent fasting works equally well for men and women. The reason why people think that it works better for men and they think that men lose weight faster is not because of the intermittent fasting. It's because men tend to have greater amounts of lean muscle mass. The more lean muscle mass you have, the faster you burn off calories and the higher your metabolism. So if a man and woman are the same weight and same height, let's say everything's equal, a man, just because of DNA, not because men are better, but simply because of DNA, men will tend to have more lean muscle mass, which will increase their metabolism and increase their caloric burn, which means when they go on a diet, they tend to lose weight faster. So the answer is intermittent fasting works equally well for men and women. Men just have a physical, anatomical advantage of having more lean muscle mass. Does that make sense?
Yes. And what's the ideal fast time range?
Yeah. So she's talking about time-restricted feeding, which is also in Fast Burn. You can read all about it. But the idea is you divide your 24-hour day into an eating window and a fasting window. Most research has shown that the 14-hour fast, which means 14 of fasting, 10 hours of eating, as an easy schedule to follow, that the 14 and 16-hour fasting window strategies tend to give the greatest amount of results. Okay, then, for example, someone who does a 12-12, 12 hours of fasting, 12 hours of eating. And so 14 or 16 are typically what's been shown through research.
Monique, thank you for your call, Monique. You're a citizen, Monique.
A Sway in the morning.
Okay, last caller. Let me see. Joe in Colorado. Joe, Grand Risings, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Grand Rising. Hey, Dr. Smith, I got one quick question for you, and I might throw you for a mind boggle. So I have a grandmother. We just rushed her to the hospital on July the 4th. And so she's not diabetic. She's the opposite. She's hypoglycemic with a blood pressure of 238 over 101. And the information pretty much we got from the doctor that she did see was that pretty much, nothing is wrong. You know, some people's heart rates are elevated. In my opinion, I don't feel like that was a more accurate answer, and we were seeking out to go get a second opinion. But blissfully, you have showed up on Sway in the morning, so I can ask you.
And let me just say, let's not, because I don't have her medical record and I haven't seen her and examined her. Don't take this as a second opinion. Still go and actually see a physician, but I will give you some food for thought, okay? Number one, I got to ask you this question for clarification. You said that her blood pressure was high or her heart rate is high? You mentioned the blood pressure, not the heart rate.
Her blood pressure. So I was going off of her actual blood pressure numbers. Her heart rate was not elevated. She didn't have any type of weakness, numbness, anything like that to indicate heart attack. But the doctor did let her know, hey, the first thing that they did run blood work, and the first thing that they said they wanted to check to make sure that she didn't have anything wrong in her kidneys, because normally that's the first problem they see, and it's really, you wouldn't know if you were trying to diagnose it yourself, obviously.
Yeah. So here's the issue. She is hypoglycemic, which is the opposite of diabetes. Diabetes is hyper. Remember, means more, O means under. So hypoglycemic, glycemic means sugar. So she has low sugar levels versus high sugar levels. And people have to understand that both situations can be problematic, okay? So she has low sugar levels, but on top of that, what makes it even more complicating is she's also hypertensive. She has high blood pressure. In fact, if those numbers are correct that you've just given me, she has what's called malignant hypertension, which means that she is in the danger zone. She could have a stroke. She could have a heart attack, all of a sudden, because her high blood pressure is so high. I mean, those numbers are huge. In fact, those are the kind of numbers that people have to be hospitalized for. You can't let people walk around with those numbers because they could fall out any minute with a stroke or heart attack. So the first thing is the doctors have to try to figure out, why is your grandmother hypertensive? Is it the kidneys? What is it that's causing her to be hypertensive? In some cases, just so you know, guys, they'll never find out why someone's hypertensive. But if they don't find out, or even if they do find out, then you have to try to lower the blood pressure. Something like this is going to require medication. It's just not going to typically just drop down on its own. And so she's going to have to be medicated to get her high blood pressure slowly into the right zone. You also don't want to drop it too fast either, by the way. So they're going to lower her blood pressure gradually, get her into the right zone, and see what is the right combination of medications that will keep her there. But then also the attempt is, obviously you don't want to be on medication, so you have to make lifestyle changes with your grandmother, what she's eating, how she's exercising, is she stressed out? These are all the kinds of things that your doctor will work with you and her on being able to identify what the risk factors are for causing her to be to have high blood pressure.
Wow. Hey, Joe, the other thing, man, I think you got to follow Dr. Ian. Just follow him. Join the Facebook group. Have your grandmother do the same and get his books. He got a lot of resources to help you guys could do, because you're going to have to do a lot of work at home to help reverse her condition. But there you have it, Joe. All right?
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Man.
Absolutely.
In the morning.
Man, you in rare form today, Dr. Ian.
Dr.
Damn,
Ian.
Showing
Last
out,
time he was
showing
here,
out.
yup, he said 5 calls minimum, Sway. And what we got to today?
I don't
8?
even know. Yeah, man, he's in rare form, man. This dude is jigger in his prime right now in this flow he got going.
One take.
One take hold.
One take
Take
DI.
hold, man, you the jigger of medical.
Hey, listen, man, I love, like you said, I'm very blessed to have the knowledge I have. I always went into it wanting to help other people, and you know, we have to figure out what our mission and purpose is in life. And I like empowering people. I don't know everything, by the way. There's a lot I don't know, and I'm not afraid to say it. But if I do have information that can help people or point them in the right direction, I have no problem doing that. Biz Markie, at the age of 57, is no longer here. It doesn't matter how big his hits were. It doesn't matter how much money he had, how many engagements he had per year. And by the way, he had a lot.
Hundreds.
That doesn't matter anymore. Biz Markie is gone. And so people have to understand that life is precious and it's unpredictable. And you have to do your best to be a good human being and help other people. Being mean and miserable and unkind to people, it's not going to make anything better. And so I try to live by that creed. I'm not perfect, obviously, but I try to just help people and just be a human being, because all of us, no matter how rich we are, how famous we are, Jeff Bezos just went up to quote-unquote space, but no matter how much money you have in this world, we all go the same way. My ministry, we always say. We all leave the world the same way. And I just think that while you're here, you should cherish it and be nice to people and try to help people. It's not always about making money, and that's just how I feel.
Well, we appreciate you, Dr. Ian. Thank you. Tell people again, hey, family, follow him. Let them know again, Dr. Ian.
And get that book,
If you want to join my group, it's called Fast Burn Challenge on Facebook. The book is called Fast Burn. If you can't afford the book, rent it, get it from your library for free. Check it out from your library. Also, my Instagram, send me a DM if you want. It's at Dr. Ian Smith. Spell the doctor out, I-A-N Smith. I love you guys.
Love you too,
Love
man.
you.
Have a beautiful
Dr.
day. We'll
Smith.
talk soon, okay? My brother.
Take care. See you.
Peace, man.